guys, we're live. We are on the mean streets of Marshfield, where I risk my life every single day. I've got deadbolts, paddle locks. I even got a chair propped up against the doorknob to keep what's outside from getting inside before I head on the way to the world headquarters every single morning to make that TMD liquid gold. Guys, this is TMD Live. Hopefully you guys out there are going to share this video, post it on, everywhere. We want the world to see what's going to happen tonight because we have three great minds coming together, and it's going to overpower you and make you ask questions about maple syrup that you never thought of before. So without further ado, guys, let's get into this. I'm going to bring these special guests on. First off, this guy. I've always said this about him. If it was a basketball team, he's the scrappy guy. He's the guy that brings the intangibles, does the little things, the things that not everybody else wants to do. He's from Michigan, Mr. David Hughes from Hughes Maple Farms. How are you doing tonight?
Not too bad, Mr. Tim. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing wonderful. I just got out of the woods, came here, took a shower, and I'm sitting here talking to a guy that, he's got that energy.
Yeah, I'm very impressed by you. I seen the text earlier. I was like, man, he's going to be cutting it close.
Well, that's why we were 15, 20 minutes late.
So, you're good. So is it running then? Is the sap running for you?
Yeah. We had a pretty good run today for sure. The last couple of days were pretty good. So, we're holding on to the season going forward. And, that's one of my questions later would be, we can kind of go around and kind of get a report from everyone. So,
okay. Yep.
Yeah, but okay, now we're going to bring the next guy on. This guy. Oh, this guy. I don't even know what to say, but I just call him the Elon Musk of maple syrup. Nate Bissell from Bissell Maple Farms. How's it going today?
Hey, guys.
What's going on?
Can you hear me all right?
I can hear you.
Can you hear me? Oh,
yeah.
Sweet. I'm trying. My boys, they use these little, earpiece things. I don't know what they're called, but I'm giving them a whirl tonight.
Yeah, you updated your technology.
I did. Boy, did you guys want to murder me this morning or what?
Nope.
Oh, it's true. I screwed up. That's me. I'm a mess.
Moving on.
We had a little switcheroo. It was supposed to be hosted by.
Well, Jeff, I owe Jeff an apology. As long as he's sounds like he's okay with the audible.
Yeah, we called an audible, switched it up, and we're going to go live here tonight. And guys, again, if you are out there watching, share it. We want to try to get as many people up on this as possible watching it, and hope you enjoy the content tonight. So now the next guy, this is a special guest we're bringing on tonight. There are spies around the world, and they do different things. But this one, he spies on set. And I tell you what, he's the James Bond of sap spying. And none other than, he comes from my home state of Wisconsin, Jeff Skarda, the founder, creator, developer, and the smartest guy on this panel right now.
I won't say that. Evening, everybody.
Evening.
Jeff.
Good, really good. Thanks for thanks for hosting this and allowing me to be a guest on the show. Very honored to be here.
Yeah, it's an honor to have you, because I will say this about Jeff: you can get a hold of him. I've asked him, I think if you kept a tally, was I the guy with the most stupid questions about the sap spy so far this year?
You have a couple up there that are top 10 as the.
I'm pretty sure.
The one question was the tank sensor, right? Got plugged in.
Yes, I was going to bring that up.
Top 3.
I was asking him why it wasn't working, and he said, "Did you plug it in?" So, no, I did.
I like the easy answers many times.
Yeah,
we try to make ourselves available all the time.
Yep, you definitely are. Nate's back. You were gone momentarily.
I was the only one that was vertical.
Right.
Hmm.
So we got all of us on here right now. And Nate, you originally were going to kind of host this and have Jeff on. I'm kind of going to defer to you just a little bit here right now. You know, what kind of questions do you have for Jeff, or you want to get that started, basically?
Yeah, I just wanted to hear Jeff's story. That was it. It was kind of open ended. We didn't want to make it a Sap Spy commercial, but we did want to, I'm more interested in Jeff and his story and how he got here. And I think that was kind of my thought process.
Yeah,
Okay.
totally.
I like that.
I think you guys share your stories in past episodes, whether it's Nate your Sap chat and previously, or David, and then of course the TMD of famous background stories as well. Overall, my story, I basically starts here in Wisconsin. I grew up on a small dairy farm, like many of us out there. Just honored and privileged to have that as an upbringing. A lot of my childhood was baling hay, milking cows, picking rocks. That was the foundation of my childhood, was growing up on a dairy farm. Youngest of 5 kids. I went to school at Madison for electrical engineering. Really enjoyed that field, that technical kind of field. Then joined the corporate world. Been in the corporate environment for about 16, 17 years. Really enjoy that electrical engineering, technical, how do we use data to solve problems in the corporate world. I enjoy the technical side of it, but it is the corporation, the corporate world. Stuck in manufacturing facilities. I call it the concrete walls indoors. We had a monitor all day long. So many of us, right, why we all enjoy maple syrup is gets me back to my farming roots every spring. Gets me out of the outdoor, out of the office. Good reason to go back to the farming roots. Outdoors, manual labor, just a great time of year for me. So it's maple syrup started about 12, 14 years ago as a great escape from the corporate world. Get back to the farming roots, really, and be able to, make a wholesome product like maple syrup has just been fantastic for that. How we got into maple syrup, I'll have to blame that on my brother. About 2002, if anybody remembers the season of 2002, one of the, it was February, warmed up really quick. That was his first season doing maple syrup. He invested in a 2x6 evaporator, tapped the trees, silver maple trees in our backyard. And it was, that horrible 2002 season was his first season doing maple syrup. He's a pretty persistent guy. So we gave it a go the next year, and obviously much more syrup was made the following season. But then over the years, about second or third year he was doing that. We also own a cabin together, a log cabin that we built. And so we decided to, let's do maple syrup together. We started the first probably 5 years, bags and buckets, just, running around the woods, 4-wheelers and whatnot, bags and buckets, collecting that sap. I think we started maybe 30 gallons the first year, and then 90 gallons, and then we kept getting more bags and buckets. And then we quickly realized you could only spend so much time collecting bags and buckets yourself, and boiling on a 2x6 evaporator at the time at night. And you can only do that for so long before you just wear yourself out. So we then migrated onto tubing systems, started with just 3/16 tubing, just gravity, one area of our woods did have a pretty good slope. So we just did gravity 3/16 tubing. That's awesome. Let's do more of this. We went the SureFlow route, did some SureFlow pumps just to add more taps. Then we went to a guzzler with 3/16 tubing. After about 2-3 years of the guzzler and 3/16 tubing and plugging and whatnot, the last, I think, 4 or 5 years we've been on more of I'm gonna call it I don't call it professional, but best class of 5/16 tubing, high back systems, 5 taps per lateral, main lines throughout the system, a wet dry, running 28, 29 inches or 28 inches throughout our woods. So throughout that time was bags and buckets, 3/16 tubing, SureFlow, guzzler, now high vac tubing, about 1,500 taps. Sometimes the past couple of years we were about 2,000, just due to life craziness and trying to grow SASPI as well. We are 1,500 taps, all one main collection point, and then we actually process that sap at the basically dairy farm I grew up on. So it's been a good use of the old buildings that are there. The old barn we're basically restoring into our mini warehouse of maple syrup. Added on, these are the old milk house as our boiling room. Added on for the evaporator, and that's been our operation over the years.
Very cool.
Nice. Yeah. I mean, like you, Jeff, I actually grew up on a small dairy farm as well.
Yeah.
And,
How many cows do you guys milk?
oh man, I mean, like back in that day, these were kind of common. Like it was like around 40 cows. It was small. That was what it was. And the guys that I went to high school with and everything back in that time, there was a lot of those around. I mean, between the world headquarters and my little town, Granton, where I went to high school, they were dotted bop, 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 all along the highway. But there's now, like, I don't know if there's one left between there where there used to be like 5 or 6. But I had the, same thing, picking rocks, baling hay, all that stuff, making maple syrup in the woods with my dad and my grandpa. So it sounds very, very, very similar, to what I grew up on.
Yeah, you at least a little bit more history of doing maple syrup. For me, it was basically my brother Andy. 14 years ago, 12 years ago, started tapping trees in his backyard out in Janesville. So he's basically, started maple syrup in his backyard. Realized there's maple trees up at the home farm about 2 hours away, and then brave enough to go buy the evaporator, buy a bunch of bags and buckets, and give it a go. And from there, we just grew from there. But like you, I look back at growing up on a farm, right? A lot of outdoor manual labor, a lot of work. At the time, I probably cursed it a little bit, but looking back at it, just an absolute blessing to have grow up on a dairy farm like that.
Right. Well, I mean, I 100% agree with you on that. Like if you grew up on a dairy farm in Wisconsin, a small dairy farm in Wisconsin, chances are you are going to turn out to be a pretty solid person. Mm-hmm. No doubt. Yeah. I mean, if you're looking to hire somebody or whatever, and that's their background, forget about it. I mean, you're getting a good person right there.
So like the production of maple syrup for me was like going back to the farming roots at least a few months out of the year. And I feel like maple syrup is probably similar to farming too. Like growing up on a farm, all the neighbors help each other. Whether a piece of equipment broke down and they just bale the hay, and okay, we'll go help. Just that. How do we help each other out? Yeah, we're all neighbors. We're all no one's really competing against each other, but how can we all help each other out? And just that sort of upbringing. I think the maple syrup community as a whole has very similar stories as well. I think we can all share stories of helping each other out and trying to support each other.
Oh, absolutely.
Love it.
So Jeff, if you were to think of the biggest benefit that you provide maple farmers, if you were to bottom line it, like what do maple farmers gain by working with the sap spy equipment? What is it they're gaining?
Yeah, primarily for sap spy, it's peace of mind. Always knowing the status of your sugar bush, all of the late nights of driving back and forth just to check on things. I think back of why did I build sap spy? Well, one, I'm a maple syrup producer myself. So about 6 years ago was when I built the first, my device just for myself. That's how it started out. This one particular day, we just tapped the trees. This was a day, the year after doing our major tubing systems. I'm at work. It's kind of a day like today. It was mid 40s and sunny and a great day. I'm stuck at work in that corporate office. I look outside. It's sunny. It's beautiful. I'm like, I'm gonna get out of here early. Like this is like something's happening. I wonder how full that tank is. So I get out of work early. I get home and my wife made a nice dinner for the family. I said, "Sorry, honey, I gotta go. I gotta get to the woods." I get out, the woods about 30 miles from where I live today. I run out to the woods and I get there and just pure frustration of the tank's about a quarter full because our moisture trap tripped that morning and I had no idea it ever happened. And so now we have that much less sap. The worst part is, yes, that day is painful of not having the sap I needed. But I also pissed off my wife. I pissed off my boss and coworkers because I blew off work early. I got there and it's just complete frustration. That day is painful, but the rest of the season, what am I thinking of? Well, did it happen again? Did it happen again? And so I'm, running out there early to check on things when, not knowing what's going on. I'll have a neighbor or my dad to go out there just to check on things to see if it's happening. That same season, it was boiling really late at night, but it's still 35 degrees. Well, I'm up till midnight, 1 o'clock, and it's sap. Is it still flowing? Did it happen again? Is that tank going to overflow? So it's 1 o'clock in the morning, and instead of going to sleep, I got to run back to the woods to go check on things.
I'm going to do an impression right now of my dad. Hey, Dad, can you go check the tanks? We've all done it, right? Hey, Dad, Mom, go get Dad. Where's Dad?
That sounds very similar to
You've heard this. We've all heard it. We're trying to do 10 things. We ask somebody to go do something. They got a life, it's, you tick them off, right? But he's going to do it. But would you agree, everybody on this panel here, that monitoring pays for itself, like in year one? Like, why didn't I do this sooner?
Yep.
And so
it's one of the few investments in maple that's a no-brainer. So if you have any small producers here that are watching tonight, or any producers that have just said, I don't need monitoring, well, every one of you, what would you tell them?
Well, let me go off of that, Nate. That's perfect. So I'm a smaller producer in all reality, and I wish I would have done this years ago, but just devil's advocate, I was like, there's a cost to it. There's this. I'm like, oh, I don't need that. I only got 500 taps. Well, think about it, guys. The person with 500 taps, the sap's actually more valuable at that than it is with somebody that's got 10,000 taps. You see what I'm saying? This year alone, I mean, it was funny how you're saying how Jeff always answers his phone. I think I texted him at 2 a.m. one morning. It was like, just going over stuff. And I'm telling you guys, I got pulled into my driveway after just turning all the pumps on and everything right first thing in the morning. And all of a sudden my phone's going off. 5 inches of vacuum. What the heck? I was just there, literally. I turned around, drove all the way back. I would have lost that whole day. My diaphragm blew a hole in it. That one day right there, and that was the biggest run we had this season out of the 5 boils I got. So how important was that? To me, it just paid for itself right there.
Yep. I think it pays for itself in the amount of sap you get on those painful days when you have those issues. But it's the driving back and forth, the worry, it didn't happen again, and this peace of mind the rest of the season. Checking on a tank is just pulling out your phone and looking at it, and you immediately know what's happening in the woods. And so I think of monitoring systems too is kind of that hierarchy of needs. To me, that biggest need is my vacuum pump on? How much vacuum am I running? Do I have a big leak in the woods? That's like the immediate, like if you don't have vacuum, you are missing out. Close number 2 is tank level. Like, I personally have done it myself. Even after I made SatSpy, did I close the valve at night? On our big 3,000 gallon tank, we got a manhole door, and it's about a third the way up. And I crawled in the day before to clean that sucker, scrubbed it all clean. I come back out. Well, I closed the valve, but I didn't close the darn door. The next morning, the tank's filling, and then it flatlined about a third, 30% full. It's like, well, you dumbass.
Okay.
You gotta close the door. And so in that case, I was able to get back out there quick and know what's going on. If I didn't have a monitoring system, and that at least knowing what's happening at the tank and the releaser, it would have been a painful afternoon. It's 1,500 taps. Instead of a tank being 3/4 full, it would have been a big pile on the ground. Yeah. So like tank level is obviously important. Also, this beneficial knowing its temperature is kind of a bonus. How cold did it get last night? How good is the run going to be now? Should my pump be running? Just knowing temperature as well, and be able to plot that information, what happened the last 24 hours or even the last 2 weeks, just helps you make decisions and overall makes your life easier. That's ultimately what we're about.
Yeah, and I've got a question here for you.
Yeah.
Let's hit some of those. Wait, hold on. Here it is. Is SatSpy internet or cellular?
Yeah, good question. As of today, we are primarily cellular. The core need out there has been cellular. Back when I made my own device, I personally at the time just wanted to go buy something, right? I just wanted to go I looked at CDL, H2O, Lapierre, SapCheck. I looked at them all at that time. They were all Wi-Fi, required Wi-Fi permanent internet.
Yep.
I did not have that, and I also did not have power at the time. In the woods, we had a mechanical releaser. I just really want to know what's happening at the releaser, what's happening at the tank.
Yep.
I didn't have Wi-Fi. I didn't even have power. Okay, how can I, with building within those constraints, what can I make for myself to meet my own needs? So one is we primarily offer cellular. We do have we've been prototyping Wi-Fi this last year. Next year we will have a Wi-Fi equivalent as well. But our main, foundation is cellular based. So, and we work off of all the major carriers: AT&T, T-Mobile, Verizon in the U.S., Bell, Rogers, and TELUS, I think is what it is, in Canada. So we really work with all the major carriers.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I can't. I've got it on. I have it on 5 different locations, and it doesn't mean I necessarily get there before it runs over, but at least I know.
You got decisions to make in life, but what? Yeah.
At least I know. At least I know what's going on. But no, it's and I will talk about this. We're getting a little into the weeds, but Jeff, he upgraded the tank level sensor, and I know I've communicated that to him a few times this year. I think it's 150 times better than the other one. Drop it in the bottom of the tank, boom.
It's so much easier. Yeah.
That is so much better than that one you had to hang
ultrasonic.
above the tank.
Yeah. The submersible will probably be our depot going forward. But that's kind of our philosophy of how do we use customers' feedback? Let's listen to them. Let's see what pain points they have every single year. And let's keep innovating, keep improving, innovating for new features, different hardware to help everybody, not just future customers, but all of our past customers as well. That's really what we're about, both in the monitoring systems and other portions of the sugar bush. I think we mentioned last time the LED sight glass. That's something I needed for myself and my own sugaring operation. The electronic protection valve as well. The few times I did have to run out to the woods. That's another new product this year that to help. I needed it for my own woods. Why not source the products or the hardware in a way that I can help out other producers as well? Overall, I'm about helping out other people. That's the more we can do that, the more successful we're going to be. Just helping out fellow producers.
David, is that the one that you showed me in your live stream the other day?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Got the transducer and the LED and.
Yep. I just have.
That's pretty brilliant, man.
Yeah, this is the little transducer thing. It just say a tank level sensor sits at the bottom of the tank. I don't want to. I'll demo it here too.
Yeah, that thing works great. I think
it's brilliant. That thing is brilliant.
It's so accurate. I don't understand it, but it is precise.
So it's basically an LED strip here, and it's just a pressure sensor. So if I push on the pressure, it's going to light up more and more of the strip. So think of as your tank is filling, the pressure sensor sees more and more of the pressure, and it lights up more and more of the strip. So then every LED of the strip basically is an indicator of your sight glass. Yep. It's kind of the same sort of thing. Some benefits, right? This tank level sensor could be outside in your tank. Some guys are using it for their trailers, or large even sap tanks outside when they're pumping in them or pumping out of them, so they know how full they are. It's just something new. I made that for myself probably 2 to 3 years ago. It's been kind of on the back burner, but finally making it this year more of a standard product out there.
Hey Tim, how are we doing on numbers and stuff? We got quite a few people here tonight.
It says okay, yeah. I mean, right now, I don't know. I guess you guys can't see that. Is that correct?
No,
I see the comments, but
it says we
got.
I'm
starting to see comments.
75 as of right now.
That's good for maple. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's
half of them are probably boiling or collecting sap or something.
Right. As a matter of fact, here we go. Yeah, comment right here. Drew is from Owen, Wisconsin. I know him, and he says I just got home from pumping sap. So he's I just got in maybe 45 minutes before you did. let's hit some of these comments. I'm definitely going to add one to my SAP hauler. I'm not sure what he's talking about, Jeff. What
Probably LED sight glass.
Oh, the hauler? Okay. All right.
And so the beauty is this also kind of operates off a 12 volt or USB battery pack. Yeah. So some guys are actually like putting it on the hauler truck. And so they don't have to like unplug it, plug it in.
Okay.
That's been one in a couple use cases.
We got Tom here. Happy Sunday night, guys. Tom is a guy that I met many years ago when I was delivering the maple syrup to grocery stores myself, and he was one of the managers of the stores. So he's always chiming in and adding to the broadcast. Gene says, "You looking like Vanilla Ice's win." I am wearing my Vanilla Ice T-shirt. Vanilla Ice invented rap.
Oh man.
But Gene,
check out the hook while my DJ revolves it.
Yes.
I see your hat too, like NCAA.
Well, I'm doing the 90s approach tonight. I'm wearing the.
Oh, that's what it is. Okay.
And then right here, this is a Wisconsin Badgers hockey national championships 1990 hat. Okay.
Nice.
This is a 34.
That's as old as my brother.
Yeah. I got that when I was just a kid, but I remember that. That was the last time they won the national championship. They are doing very, very well this year, and I think they can make a run at it. But yeah.
So we want questions from people that are, watching the live stream. Definitely anything's open for discussion, right? Leader H2O. Lots of rumors there, obviously, with Ember coming in and purchasing H2O. What are they going to do? I've sent emails and, attempted to put a group together to purchase Leader H2O, and crickets, like nothing. So, lots of rumors on shutting down Leader and just moving everything to Canada. When a company buys a company and then they say, we're not going to shut it down and move it to Canada, that means they're going to shut it down and move it to Canada, just so you know. Did Jonathan win? Great question. You just saw the wrestler here, able to eat. He's one of the greatest wrestlers in the state of Ohio for his weight, for sure. But he did go 1-2, ran into a couple buzzsaws. He's a junior, so hopefully next year, when you're in the 99th percentile, and then when you go there, and 99% of the kids that go, they're going to go home without something, but I'm dang proud of them to be able to do that. It's still a great accomplishment.
That's awesome.
Can I piggyback off that? And kudos to John.
Your son.
Yeah, Jack, come here.
If he's not wearing a jersey, I'm going to be disappointed.
Buddy.
I hope he puts his jersey on for this.
Let's just step in here real quick. Hey, tell him what the end result for the Marsh. Jack's goes to Marshfield, the Tigers, Division I. So it's the biggest division in the state, and these guys got to the final.
Yeah, the sectional final, and we lost to Nina by 4 points.
That's a close
one.
Wow.
They lost to Nina by 4 points. If you would have won, you would have went to the Final Four.
Yeah,
so
that's cool.
It was a very, very intense game. I was at it. I skipped out and ran over to Stevens Point and watched it and ran back to work. But that was one of the most intense games I had ever been at. And it was 52-48. They had the lead for 80% of the game, but Nina is very, 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 very tough and very disciplined. And they had a lot of experience. So you guys are a younger.
So what was the defining, is it just, sometimes it's chance, right? Like there's just nothing you can do.
Their best player, we were up 9 and we had a momentum going, and then their best player hit two threes that were probably about like 7 feet behind the line.
He did.
Wow. Back to back to make it a 3-point game, and that was kind of a momentum shift. But yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, it happened. Sometimes it's chance. It's the draw. Like if you would have got the other team, like if Jonathan was on the other side of the bracket, he would have medaled, because there's kids that medaled that he just handled all season. It just happens. Like if he had lost his last match of the season, he would have medaled. But because he won, he ended up getting on the tougher side of the bracket. You have no control over that.
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah,
you guys could have made it if you played a different team,
Yeah, we got the 1 seed, but actually ended up playing probably some harder teams than what the 2 and 3 seeds got.
Right.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's outside of your control. I think that's the point.
I heard you were talking about SapSpy. The app is amazing. I got it on my phone too. It's nice.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
You prevent that tank from running over. Tell your dad to get out there.
Yeah, he was out running around helping me today because we were down, guys, because it's Sunday and the Amish don't work, so Albert wasn't there, and it was just him, me, and my 83-year-old dad managing stuff today. So we were running around going crazy, but he's got the
So Tim, you got maple season, you have a store, and you got a boy playing winter sports. It's hard.
It gets crazy. I mean, yes, and it can get stressful. Like, it gets me a little, worked up at times. But it's I guess it's short, and you work through it and
burn the midnight oil.
Yeah, but definitely. And then I don't work the rest of the year. I don't do anything. I just work for 1 month out of the year.
Right.
Jeff, when are you going to quit the corporate job?
I was really close this last season. I had the conversation going part-time. I am going to reevaluate that end of the season. If you want to take the island, sometimes you got to burn the ships, buddy. I know. I have that conversation quite often with my significant other.
Well, they made the decision for me, so I never would have done it. I had a comfortable thing going on, and I'm grateful now that they just they made me. I wasn't doing either one very well, to be honest. If I'm divided, what happens is you're not doing either one, and you think about it. They made a decision, policy change. I didn't think it was right, and it was about respect more than anything. I think people should have the flexibility to do both if they can do both. But when I see people working a full-time job and doing maple, I was that dude, and now I'm just like, it ain't. It ain't worth it.
I am right there of needing to take that jump, burn the ships, and go all in. I'm there. I know both the businesses is far enough along. I think it's there. I guess wife and 3 kids at home.
You know what the biggest reason is? You make decisions differently when you have a job because you can take some of that income. And you make decisions that basically keep you in the job because you use that income from your job to make the business go. But what happens is when you don't have that job, you actually have to start running it like a business. That's what happened to me. It's like, I don't really need either one of them. Well, the truth is you make decisions poorly because you're like, I'll just go ahead and buy that system that I really can't afford if I was running a maple business correctly. So then you end up needing the job to buy the equipment you shouldn't buy because you can't afford it because the business doesn't support it. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think the hardest thing is obviously there's hardware involved, and that hardware and how fast we grow every year. It's 2x, at least 2x a year. And so most of a good portion of that profit goes back into buying twice the amount of hardware we bought last year to continue the growth.
Yep.
Good problem to have. But if it's not wanting loans or investors at this point, it is continually reinvest, getting close to I don't know if there'll be a plateau or where's that plateau or when's it enough that you can draw off enough to support the family and do that. I personally think we're there. That's why it's there. I also look at during the off season, what else can we apply the technology to that is directly seasonal but offset of maple. So we have a couple leads in that whether it's irrigation, whether it's cranberries here in Wisconsin. I think the cranberries, what other livestock, irrigation, agriculture. Being Wisconsin, it's a lot of farming as well. So it's where else can we apply this technology to similar fields that I'm passionate about, being farming background, is one potential to help help fill the other 6 months out of the year, or just where it's consulting or other type of work during the off season until we keep growing SaaSpy. That's really where we're
Have you ever had a chance to meet the Farm Boss guys and see if maybe there's a way to work together, collaborate, one acquire the other? I don't know.
There might be.
Have you ever had a conversation with those guys?
Yeah, I haven't had sit down of that type of nature before.
The next time we're at an event,
the New York show,
the next time we do,
I've always talked with. I've always went up to them. They came up to us and it was kind of, hey, how's it going? Obviously we're like-minded people building similar products and just catching up on how things are going for each other.
The next time we're at an international maple show, let's all grab beers and then I can be like, hey, and I'll just say it. That way it just gets right to it. We don't have to waste an hour of niceties and stuff. We can just say, hey, Jeff wants to buy you guys. Let's talk. It's possible, by the way. Don't think it isn't.
Yeah, everything's possible. Yeah.
Jeff, there's a question here.
Oh,
specific question for you there. I don't know. Do you see that on your end? This is any.
Oh,
yeah. There's a.
Yeah, just drop that sensor. Just drop that sensor right in the tank. It'll tell you the temp, right?
Well, some of these will tell the temperature. There is a temperature sensor in some of these. So we looked at that. We went with this style or this type of communicates this style initially. So like customers like Tim, we can just swap out his existing sensor for this style. However, we are looking at that exact scenario. Chilling the tank is something I'm looking at more and more. Even my own operation, I want to do a chilled tank. So I would like to know the temperature of that. So both we're looking at whether it's a submersible sensor like this that does level and temperature. Most of our hardware is capable of Bluetooth as well. So we could add a Bluetooth transmitter that talks to the sensor hub as one way to get that measurement, or just another node. Like here's a node, this a sensor like this could plug into here to give you that temperature of your sap as well. Or like today, they all have that probe you could drop in theory. It would be better if it's like this though, I think. Certainly something we're looking at. Really appreciate the ideas. This is very much throughout the season. We have an ongoing, I'm gonna call it request list or feature list, and we just keep on adding to it. End of the season, it's always okay. Kind of plan out the next 6 to 9 months. What's on the docket for R&D? What's the most requested? What do I think is going to give the most value to other producers? And then we just chew on that list, develop 2 or 3 things, everything that's within our capability, our bandwidth to take on for the off season, and then launch that as a new product the next season. So like last year, it was the LED sight glass, it was electronic protection valve. Then we did the 3 and 4 port nodes. Those were the 3 main offerings. Next season is probably a Wi-Fi version of the hub. So guys with internet, they could use that. Additional temperature sensor is how I'm phrasing it. Whether it's in the tank, whether it's outside, so I can read the pump house temperature and the woods temperature all on the same device. So is my pump house going to freeze? Send me a text alert right away. But I also want to know what the tank level or what the temperature is in my tank is another possible use case for that. Really appreciate the idea.
Got another question for you too from Jeff Benjamin. Yeah. Can you elaborate on setting up a monitor system? How far between nodes?
Yeah, so everybody starts with the sensor hub. It's this piece right here. This is kind of the main core offering. This one device will do vacuum, tank level, temperature, cellular connected. It does not require power, but if you have power, you might as well leave it plugged in. Internal battery go 2 to 4 weeks. So this monitor is the most critical right at your main collection point. Is my vacuum pump running? How full is my tank? Did my pump shut off? Did my moisture trap have a problem? And then this has the ability to talk to nodes. Specifically for your question, the nodes, they can talk, I say a quarter mile up to a half a mile straight through a sugar bush. Like all the others out there, if it's line of sight, it can go multiple miles. No one is line of sight, or very rare is anybody line of sight. So typical, it's a quarter mile up to a half a mile straight through a sugar bush between the hub and the first node, or like a node that can then any node can be configured to be a repeater to double or even triple that range. In most sugar bushes that we're are kind of our target customer, a couple hundred taps, several thousand taps, even 10,000 taps. Most of the woods out there, it's getting up and over that one hill. So it's take one, maybe two nodes strategically located on top of the hill, configure that one to be a repeater to the hub to the node that's a repeater, and then that node can cover the rest of the woods. That's probably the most typical setup.
Mm-hmm.
And so far, we're from anywhere from, I think our largest bush is probably 10 to 12,000 taps. I don't know the exact size, but it's kind of the higher side of what we cover. The vast majority of our customers are in a 1,000 to 5,000 taps kind of range. I personally have 1,500 taps, and that's essentially what I started, built it for initially.
Very good. Hey guys, here's an important comment. JC Enforcement, he just said, good chat, but not the conversation I hoped. I'm off.
Oh.
What do you hope for?
What do you want, bud? Like, what does JC want? I would be interested to know what. I love trolls. Like, I'm a troll. I love it.
I mean, JNC, he took time to type that in. I mean, come on.
Like, you literally should type what you want us to talk about. That's why we're here, bud.
That's some questions, and yeah.
Oh, okay.
Thanks for putting that on there. I love that stuff.
Yeah. With that being said, hey, I got a guy to add in right now. We always have this guy in. I don't know if I should.
I love it. Oh, jeez.
Oh,
hey,
yeah.
your camera. John.
What's up, gentlemen?
You guys hear the feedback?
Yes.
John, we got problems.
Oh boy.
Is your phone still on regular? Or you're...
Tell you what, I'll leave and I'll come back and see if it is any better.
Okay. Well, now it's better.
Was it better?
That's when we talk.
Let me.
Yeah. I have a feeling he's got his phone still on the live channel.
John, you still got your phone on the live. You might have your phone on while you're doing it.
Either your phone or your live stream is probably still on. Or his, I should say.
Okay.
So Jack.
Yeah, I take that off.
Yeah.
He's just got two things running at the same time.
Earlier about the app that we haven't brought up is you can add multiple people to help get the same text alerts. Like I have my buddy who's right over by my one sugar bush, sends him a text, lost a vacuum, temperature too cold, go shut off the pump, whatever. So that's something you can add up to 3, right, Jeff?
You can add up to 3 different text alerts, 3 different phone numbers of text alert. You can actually set up the app that anybody can log in, as many people as you want. And we even have view only. I'll drop my personal view only into the chat. If anybody wants to go see what a monitoring system is, you can click the link and you're going to see my sugar bush, my system. You're essentially logging in as me in a view only mode.
I give our sap haulers, let them log in. There's no reason for me to be the intermediate between the people that haul sap.
Mm-hmm.
Look what just came through.
Uh-oh. Yeah.
Nice. Losing some vacuum, huh?
Gotta go, guys. No.
You can always call Dad.
No, that one would actually be my buddy, and it'd probably be the same thing.
Mm. Yep. Yeah, so it's like we have a couple universities, a couple universities out there, a couple high schools even using the system. So it's that way for all the community, even the kids and the parents of the kids, to get basically see the monitoring system of the high school's sugar bush.
That's
to
cool.
help build that level of engagement and that curiosity and what's happening with the operation while they're at home, while they're in the community. So that's one of the main reasons we created that view only link to kind of share it more broadly. And then people are interested in the system that allows them to click around and see, hey, what does a sugar bush monitoring system look like both on a phone or a desktop PC. So that gives them that opportunity to kind of test drive experience.
Jeff, have you seen the technology that Cornell's using to monitor? They have a few out there, like I think one in every state. So Kevin Holy, who owns Seldom Seen Farm, I had a chance to visit him about a week ago, and he was showing me this
It's like,
monitoring system that'll tell you how much sap per tap, and I was just blown away. It would monitor all this data, and he was showing it to me. It would count how much sap would actually come out of a tap.
yeah.
And per day, I think he said, hey, I had a 5-gallon sap run one day, and I wouldn't know that unless I had this piece of equipment out there. Like, it'd be kind of cool to see that.
Yeah.
Available for us normal guys.
Yeah. I was talking to, I think it's Aaron Wild, Adam Wild, Aaron and Adam. I think it's Adam Wild. I was talking to him just this last week. Met him in Syracuse. He actually got a SATSPI system as well to test drive for their sugar bush. And while we're in Syracuse, we're having that exact conversation about what technology can we continue to innovate upon to do exactly that. I'm pretty sure the contraption is basically a cylinder that's under vacuum with just a rain gauge in the inside of that.
Yeah.
Where it flips to say how much sap is going through that 5/16 tubing out of that tree, which is definitely interesting. I thought,
and then they monitor rainfall too. Like there was a bunch of things. Yeah. So say it rains before. Yeah.
Lots of different
cool.
Right in that specific area of the woods. I personally, SATSPI, we basically know the general location of the woods based on what cell tower it's connected to. And as of today, we're collecting all of the weather forecast based on, so we know the cell phone tower connected to. So therefore, we can look up the weather forecast, both past and future, barometric pressure, wind, snow, rain, everything that you can ever get in the weather forecast, we get based on the cell tower connected to. Right now, we're just collecting that information, but looking for, okay, now how do we deliver more value to the customers? How can we use that weather forecast to give more and more value to the customers? Whether it's better predicting sap flow is the main item out there. Even today, like based we have a future, predicted future tank level. It's pretty simple today. It's just rate of change. How fast is my tank filling? Just draw the line out in the future. Do the math that we all do in our heads today. If it changed by 10% in the last hour, and 4 hours from now, it's going to be 40% more full. We just do that math for you guys, all within the web app. Where we want to use that weather forecast is, well, not just the next 4 hours or 8 hours. What's going to happen tomorrow or even the next day? It's all, it's an idea. I'm not sure how much value that's out there in that. But that's where we want to go in the weather forecast and collecting that information, or even when should I tap? It's trying to help people make that decision as well. Is showing when should I tap, and based on the weather pattern, based on the last 5 years of data, shows this weather pattern. You're going to collect this much sap. So help people make those decisions as well by leveraging that data. That's where
I would love,
but we'll see.
I would love for each of us to go around and talk about the worst decision-making process either we have done ourselves or witnessed or done ourselves and then watch others as we've gotten healthier in our decision-making make. I'll make fun of my dad real quick to kind of start it off. Sometimes the conversation would go like, hey, Dad, do we have enough room in the tank? It's not going to run. Dad, I don't know if you know this, but you don't get to choose what the trees do. And you'd have these arguments, and it's like, you might be right, Dad, but maybe we should be prepared. It's not going to run. Sometimes farmers, we get tired, and then we say what we hope's going to happen instead of being prepared for what's going to happen. Mm-hmm. Like, you think about it. You get a guy who says, you don't tap before President's Day, and you go through this whole process of, we started with buckets, moved to, you don't tap red maple. And you go through this whole process, and it would be interesting to hear each person talk about like the change and the terrible decision-making processes that we had. It's funny now. It wasn't funny. Like, I don't know about you, but I probably had more arguments with my dad than anybody over the maple season, which is, it's healthy, right?
Yeah,
of course.
Who's got a story? I did John, and John usually has funny stories.
Here, John.
Is it better? Is it better now?
Way
Yeah,
better.
your audio is good.
Yeah, I was doing it on my phone. My wife was downloading some stuff on my computer, and I think I had Facebook and StreamYard and YouTube and all these different things running. So yeah. So you actually just said a really funny story about how, well, we got plenty of room in the tank, just this last week. I think it was 2 weeks ago. It was last weekend. Tim and I were well, I was running around. Tim was at his son's basketball game. So I'm going from woods to woods. I'm gassing up vacuum. I'm gassing up, all the other stuff so it's ready in the morning. And I get out to one of the woods, and it's it's a 950-gallon tank, and it's 3/4 full. So I call up Tim and I'm like, dude, hey, we're probably gonna have to empty this tank tonight. I mean, that vacuum's gonna run for about 3 more hours, but it runs really well on gravity, and it wasn't gonna freeze that night. And I'm like, I don't. It's so close. I don't know what to think. And Tim's like, oh God, it's like 9:30. It's dark, it's cold, and Tim's like, yeah, I'll be out there in a little bit. Just give me a minute. So then we went to an Amish guy's place. We picked him up because we can't do it on Sundays. And Tim and I were out in the woods till probably 10:30, 11 o'clock that night, getting that last tank, because otherwise it's going to be spilling on the ground in the morning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. How is everybody, by the way?
That wasn't the thing I wanted to do at that time. Like, getting out of that game and then, having to go right back out there. But
How we doing on numbers, Tim? How we doing on numbers? Give us an update.
we're at like 70. We were up to 86 at one point.
Cool. That's like a record for me. I know you big guys on social media. That's probably like, you call that Tuesday.
That's right. It ain't nothing for me. I'm kidding. But David, what about yourself?
Well, I'm going to say probably putting 20 to 25 taps per lateral last season for my first tubing setup.
Yeah, I saw that video. Oh.
Because that was the effort, but to be fair, it was what I was giving as far as to do. But yeah, wasn't ideal. Wasn't ideal. But the best one, if we want to talk about best, is probably going to the check valves files this season. Because as of right now tonight, everything that's on check valves is the only thing that's really pumping sap. I'm not.
So, are you still going? Are you done? Or what's going on there?
So I thought, to be completely fair, I thought I was done. Like, I sent you guys a text, I'm done, everything, whatever. It's been 7 days since the sap's run here.
Oh, wow.
7. And this is the first, and I was like, you know what? It got down to the 20s last night. I'm going to go see. I'm just going to go out there, turn a pump on. What the heck? Everything's already tapped. Why not? So I went out there, and the first one I went to was my bigger woods with the check valves on. I turned it on, and I used the sap guzzler, and all of a sudden the lines are jumping, and it's just pumping. I'm like, well, all right, I guess I'm going to turn on all the other pumps while I go to the one that doesn't have the check valve spiles on. And I turn the pump on, and I mean, we're talking a drizzle out of it. And I go down the road to the other location with the check valves. Same thing. The line was literally jumping every stroke of the pump. I can't believe it. I knew it would make a difference, but I didn't know it would be that different.
Okay.
But is the quality of sap going to be that good? I tested it. It was 1.3. And is it going to be buddy? Probably.
Did it taste like a corn stalk?
No, I didn't even taste it. I just turned the stuff on and walked away.
There's a market for everything.
Yeah. So we'll see. I thought I was done, though, to be completely honest.
Okay, so you're still hanging on.
Our trees have been flowered for a week and a half. The spring peepers have been out for 5 days.
Well, they're wrong.
Do you guys have the old wives' tale about Miller moths and how when the Miller moths come out, it's like the end of the season?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The little white moths you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Floating in the buckets. Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen plenty of them too.
Tim and I went out to go pick up that same woods, and I'm sitting there waiting. I get the sap coming in from a long line, and it's coming in slow, and I'm just sitting there, and all of a sudden I see a moth, and I'm like, oh crap. That's the end.
It's
over in
over.
a while yet. I know it's I know Tim, you're not too far away from like 2 hours, but mostly just west, not even 2 hours, probably hour and a half, right?
Yeah.
I'm hoping
Have you guys ever heard the phrase that a maple farmer doesn't have 30 years of experience? They have 1 year of experience 30 times.
That's exactly it.
Have you ever heard that?
Yeah.
I think I heard it from you, earlier this season.
Yeah.
It's a very accurate phrase.
Yeah. I should have tapped January 1st.
All sorts of names I don't recognize. This is great. Like the community's building. Other social media platforms have quite a community built, say, firewood or some outdoors channels, but we are continuously building the YouTube side. I know I've reached out to some maple YouTubers and crickets. Some very well-known maple tubers. Crickets. Like, I think this is healthy and good.
It is.
Here's the truth. You guys might gain from this. You might gain some benefit by working with other maple farmers. And oh no.
Well, the genuine people are here, and that's what matters.
Yeah.
That was Doug related to Andy.
On a dairy farm, it was helping out other neighbors, no matter what it is.
Exactly.
If equipment broke down, or you're behind on something, whether I got to go see my kid's state wrestling tournament. Can you milk my cows tonight? And the neighbor would step in and do that. Right, just helping each other out. And I feel like everybody on this call, we're all here to help each other out.
Exactly.
Not everybody has that opinion. Like some people think that they can limit your success, or if you have too much success, like let's cap it. Guess who's the only person that gets to determine the limit on your success? You.
Yep.
That's it.
And we're all going through the tough season together, or the struggles. And Nate, Tim, you've been through stuff that I haven't, or vice versa. We can all help each other and lift each other up through those stuff, because it's not easy.
Yeah.
I can talk about banks. When you guys are ready, I can talk about banks. That's a great one. Banks. Oh yeah.
I had the first time instance of having my reverse osmosis machine die on me the other day.
Yeah.
So that happened.
What happened?
Just basically the big pump on it, the
High
main
pressure pump?
just stopped.
Yeah.
It was working, and it ran a tank dry and it shuts off like it normally does.
Should, yeah.
And then I went to start it up, opened a valve on another one, went to start it up, and just had no pressure. I mean, it had no pressure at all. So luckily, that's very scary, because if everything would have been full out there, I probably just would have wanted to go in the corner and cry. Because there's no way I'm going to get, there's no way you're going to do it with all that. And we were basically kind of done for the day. There was about 1,000 gallons left or something. And then the next day it really didn't run. So it wasn't like a dire situation, but I was able to get to the dealer and get a replacement one to slap on there. However, he gave me one that was smaller. I didn't know it than the one I had. So now we're going to the rest of the season, taking it, it's going to be more time involved than what I had on there. So
well, isn't that
like
a pump in 2 years too, or something like that? Silly, like it's kind of a recurring issue.
I thought he got a rebuilt. Just had a rebuilt.
The one that was the pump that was on there I think it's only on its third season. So since it I had it gone all through and everything, so it's kind of surprising that happened, but it did, and now
So we're talking about that, man, because the end of last season, it was the last week. Our thermal on the motor on our high pressure pump, I think we have similar ROs as well. The thermal would trip. And so I'm like, well, let's just reset the thermal, and it's only during the wash cycle. It would trip all the time.
Jeff, the only one that knows what a thermal is you, dude. The only one on this thing that knows what's a thermal.
Oh, sorry, thermal overload.
For the wash sets, it automatically shuts it down.
The motor will
112.
protect itself.
Yeah, you're it, buddy. You're the only one that knows what a thermal is.
Yeah. So it kept on tripping into last season for the last week, and then during the off season, we got swapped out. Probably December is when I dropped it off at their place. They'll ship it back. They'll get it back in about a month. They did pull through the local equipment dealer that we work with. Excellent people. But we tap it early. Like normally we tap end of February, first week of March. It was the last week of December or the last week of January. And we're like, oh, I think we're gonna tap. Like, oh, I need my high pressure pump back. We got the one back, installed it. I basically tapped the woods without a high pressure pump. Tap the woods the next day, go run and get it, install it. The first time I turned the thing on, it's just pure grinding noise. I was like, oh, well, I turned, looked at it a little bit closer, and thankfully it was just the motor, the cover of the motor was just dented in just enough that the fan was hitting it. So we're just pulled the fan cover off and run it that way for now. But it was a scary moment. Like, here's all this app. We just kicking off the new season. I already swapped this thing out. And I turned the thing on. It just grinding away. I was like, oh, no. But thankfully, it was a pretty easy fix. But yeah, RO breaking. That's one of the, I think, scary moments for most of our producers, right? Puts us in a bad spot if that happens.
Well, mine didn't break, but I won't say the brand or anything, I guess. They just came and took it back and gave me my money back after 2 seasons because we have been round after round. They promised that it was supposed to go to a certain percentage, and it wouldn't do half of what was promised. The flows were right. They had me switch. I mean, they came out, they put a new high pressure pump on it. We went through everything. I feel terrible for the dealer that's had to go through all of this and their hoops that they wanted to just to have the same end result. And it's just kind of a bummer, I can't say enough about the dealer. I mean, they have stood behind it and beside me through the whole thing. So that's worth its weight in gold. Yeah. I'm back in the market for an RO now just after this. It's a little frustrating, but they're basically saying I was supposed to get 8% and I was getting 3.5 from the day I got it. No matter, that was max PSI, the flow, I was actually over the flow ratings. I wasn't passing sugar. Like I said, we had been around and around and around with it. And
David, did you drill some holes in that membrane?
No, Nate.
All right, just making sure.
Yeah.
What else would be helpful to you guys or any of the viewers? What would be helpful? What?
Yeah.
For tonight, with any remaining time we have, what would be helpful?
Get a sap spy. I mean, it's everything I do in my sugar bush, because I'm a one-man band. Everything I do or I invest in is basically an employee for me or whatever, that I know is going to show up every day. I'm not going to have to call, hey, are you sleeping? Whatever. That's how I kind of look at the investments I make. And I got to be able to run everything myself. And
I was up in Vermont a couple weeks ago. We went to J.R. Sloan's. He is boiling for 285,000 taps.
It's crazy.
That's awesome.
And it'll come out in 2 weeks, but he had 7 ROs. And they were not like small ones, like duplication, right? So having 2 units that are, half the capacity of a larger one is actually maybe better than having 1 unit. But he had 7.
All in the same building.
He talked about that.
Like in the woods, and then they're hauling concentrate down the road.
No, he will not haul concentrate. This is interesting, and he will talk about that. I'll make sure I put it in there. Is he will not haul concentrate. At least from what I heard, like he said, he concentrates everything there. He just haul raw sap, process everything. The other thing that was interesting is they meter it at the farm, instead of at the sugar house, it saved the truck drivers a lot of time. When they drop a tanker of 7,000 gallons, they have an 8-inch pipe and they just drop it and it just empties in 5 minutes, 7,000 gallons. And they can do multiple at a time. Being from Wisconsin, you guys might know this, but there's cheese tanks. They're like square. I'm sure they're all over the maple industry up in Wisconsin, but they're like these square tanks. And it was long, I don't know, 20 feet long, but any tanker could just back up to it. And they made these elbows. They were 8-inch. Every tanker had a butterfly valve, and they would just drop an 8-inch pipe into these cheese vats, and they would run down, and it looked like the Niagara Falls, man. Like, you go on the inside, and I joked. I said, "Oh, there's the Canadian side of the falls right there." It was just, you could feel the wind coming off the sap. If you've ever been to Niagara Falls, you could, did the Maid of the Mist. I felt like I was in the Maid of the Mist with the sap coming in, and just like you could feel it right in your chest. That's how much sap was coming in.
That's crazy. Holy cow.
Video, the unloading process?
Oh yeah. It'll be great. 2 weeks. Jacob needs a day off or a week off. He's doing some things, and then I'll edit some, filler video that no one really wants to see.
Yeah.
Tim,
Ben Fisk's video, both I think you did a week ago, a couple days ago, and then the most recent one. That's a pretty impressive operation he's got out there as well. That was cool. The Ben Fisk.
I missed it. I missed the first part.
The Ben Fisk, your video that you done. I think your most recent one, Nate. Ben.
Like I can't believe, like from a editing standpoint, like I can see all of the what's it called, analytics, where it shows you hours, and it's we have 2 cats, and one of them is not intelligent. His name is Lloyd Christmas from Dumb and Dumber, like literally the dumbest cat in the world, and he really wants a treat, so he's just going to town over here. So analytics wise, what I have found is the last few videos, like people like these Sugar House videos, and then I'm getting invites to do more and more and more, and it's great. Like I'm like a Maple Mike Rowe now. That's all I do.
There you go. Hey,
I've been fired from every other job. I just make videos. I don't even make them. I just film it, and then Jacob makes them.
How much longer is left in the season? Like, Nate? Are you
yes
done?
They're going to give it a whirl. We had a freeze. We had some snow today. It's kind of an experiment. We don't know. Like I texted the guys. Like I asked my guys today because I knew it would come up. Are we done? Because I don't want to embarrass myself. Like pretend like I'm actually a part of it now. Like, hey, are we done? And they're like, we're going to give it a whirl, but who knows?
Okay. I don't know if we're not. The last 2 days here it ran pretty well. But the forecast the next 3 days, we're supposed to get into the 60s Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday this week. So starting tomorrow, 3 days in the 60s. Obviously, that's not what you want.
Not what you want, but man, it's later in the week. It's back in the 40s.
Right, but you don't always know how it's going to come back after that, especially when it's been already as warm as it has. So we'll see. We don't know. We're not done right now. But,
we're doing real well. It's we tap every 1st, and 1,500 taps. We're 30 gallons of tap or so of sap made, and approaching 6 pounds 6 pounds of tap. So overall, basically full crop. We'd love to keep going, but we'll see what happens.
I talked to a guy that I buy sap from today, and he called me, and he was talking like he's done, and this was one of the biggest guy that I buy sap from, and he's the guy that tapped early. I know I'm maybe a little bit old school from you guys on here, but we tapped later. My taps were running very, very good today, especially the later tapped ones. And he was a guy who tapped early February, and he says he thinks he's done. Yeah. So it's not always the same.
We're definitely slowing down. I'll give you that. It's not as much of it. It was a good freeze last night, and was 26, 27. It's definitely not a fantastic day today, but still getting sap.
Yeah.
I've made a sixth of what I was supposed to this season.
Jeff, where are you?
Just south of Green Bay.
Just south of Green Bay?
Yeah, it's about 20 minutes south of Green Bay, Wisconsin.
Okay. All right. I was just curious. I mean, I know who you are, and I mean, Tim talks about your stuff, your product, and
I live in Appleton, and then with the sugar house is the farm I grew up on, Denmark, Wisconsin.
Yeah,
Denmark like the country, but just in Wisconsin.
Yeah, no, I get the text from Tim, and he explained this to me years ago when he first got it. So I just never met you. I just wanted to say hello and see where you were.
Great to get on a call.
Hey Jeff, do you think you could produce a flow meter for like buying sap and stuff? That's something I'm struggling with. I've tried a couple and they're horrible. Like they're not accurate at all.
I personally have my own flow meter. It's a high quality one. It is very accurate. It's 2-inch. I both unload my sap through it. It gives us a very accurate measurement. It is like a 1,000 gallon, 1,200 gallon tank. It's within 10, 20 gallons. Like it's darn accurate. Today it does not track, right? It's just it's a digital readout, and I do a back reset, and I write down the number.
Yep.
I'm lazy. I should write that down all the time. A lot of times I don't. We always track it for everybody else. Anytime somebody else unloads, we don't track it for every day. This is how much we get from from our main woods. What I want to do is basically add capability to basically a smart water meter to then track that in the app to the point where it detects the load, and you just enter sugar content and who it came from. And then even every day it says, this is how many gallons I did, how many gallons per tap, theoretical syrup I should have, and kind of automate the hassle of it, that manual step when we're all running around, because I just unloaded my load and I got to go back and get another one. And so I never am disciplined enough to write it down. So how do we just automate the writing it down? And while I'm in the truck or, waiting for the pump, I can then fill it in after the fact. Is what I'd like to add. It's on I was hoping to get it last year. I didn't get to it last year, but hopefully this summer we can add that. Or even for in the woods, you got an electronic releaser. Yeah, we know tank level, and we kind of estimate gallons that are in the tank to know how much sap you got per tap. But a water meter would be so much more accurate, so much easier. A totalizer of that volume would be pretty beneficial as well. So that's the other potential to have that flow meter kind of tied right into a monitoring system.
Yeah.
But what's funny?
There's different types, right? The paddle wheels. There's the ultrasonics. There's all sorts of types. But the problem with the paddle wheels is Teflon tape. It just things will get in there, and somebody's not getting like their fair share. And what's worse than one flow meter? Two, because they're never going to agree.
What's really funny about the flow meters is, so we don't even have one this year. Tim, is this the first year we haven't had a flow meter?
Yeah, I took it off of there because I had one of those paddle wheel ones, and it just was never reading right.
So
it doesn't read right. Slows things down. It's slow.
Yeah.
It's funny. We had a guy last week who came in and he had 250 gallon tote. And you can squeeze way more than 250 in there. You can squeeze
75,
275 when you get right up to the cap. And this guy is convinced he can get 280 gallons into a 250 gallon tank. And I'm like, oh, that's incredible. Like, you must have some kind of magical tank. I'm like, that's absolutely crazy. And we had a guy who years ago, well, he still comes, I think, but we actually got into like a verbal confrontation about how much sap he had. He's like, I can fit 280 in those things. And I'm like, no way, dude. You can't fit 280 in those.
Well, the problem isn't the problem. The problem's not the problem. It is true you could probably get 5 gallons extra, but what you need to do is that person should be selling sap to someone else. They deserve each other.
Yeah.
Why waste the energy and time over 5? Like, if you're going to argue over 5 gallons, hey, here's 3 sugar makers that are buying sap. Let me give you their numbers. Do yourself a favor. Just get rid of them because it's not worth it. They deserve each other. Those people.
I would say the flow meter, anybody's having trouble with them, The biggest is 2 feet before, 2 feet after.
2 feet after,
You need
yep.
smooth flow on both sides of that.
Yeah, it's
No
just,
elbows.
No,
Put 10 elbows in there, you know?
yeah. So a good 2 feet, if not more, straight pipe going in, straight pipe going out. It's that knock out all the disturbance.
yeah, because that's
So
what people
this
bring up.
comment right down below, she made a comment on the video this morning. She's from Oregon, and they make some syrup out there.
Yeah, cool.
Now, I don't know how to pronounce this. Is it Ellen? How do you say that name?
Alon?
Alon?
Monique.
Yeah, Alon. Monique. So that's a great question. What's the furthest you haul sap, Tim? Or somebody haul sap?
It'd be, that we do would be, it's like a 15-minute drive.
That's mine too. 15, 20 minutes.
We're about 5 miles, 4 or 5 miles.
We have a.
Now, I know of people in Vermont hauling, just over the hill, just over the mountain. It's like freaking an hour.
Oh, wow.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Uphill both ways.
Right.
And that's where I see concentrated to instead of one large semi or one large milk truck, whatever, concentrate it in really smaller volume. But you're saying, Nate, not to do that, Nate, or at least Jim Sloan.
That's what JR. He does not haul. He doesn't want the people concentrating, mostly for freshness of sap. Because as soon as you concentrate it, you're also concentrating bacteria. Things that are going to start consuming the sugar, converting it to alcohol. Right. So fungus is naturally occurring.
Harder to do.
So he wants it cold and fresh.
Here we got a guy, Josh Drake, 43 miles.
43 miles. Wow.
That boy.
You need a C-130, bud. Like that, you could haul a lot of sap in a C-130.
How many gallons average though is he getting? For that distance, is he
probably
burning
up as much gas as the sap's worth? I mean, let's be honest. But no.
Well, if it's 5,000 gallons though, or something,
who knows? We don't know.
Yeah.
Well, there's 1 million taps in a 10-mile radius where I'm talking. So there's 1 million taps in a 10-mile radius. So you got Gary Corey, you've got J.R. Sloan, and they're hauling sap. Think about that. There's like
crazy.
1 million taps in a 10-mile radius.
How many taps per acre is that?
Wow.
I have no idea. I don't know. And listen, I'm just listening to the guys that are talking about it.
Yeah. This is like Josh said, 2,600 gallons. So all in 2,600 gallons, 43 miles.
Yeah, there's your answer. He's hauling a fair amount.
Yep, that's worth it. I'd say that's worth it.
I will say we definitely have to upgrade our sap hauler. Hopefully next year. Our current sap hauler is a horse trailer with 2 totes in the back and a big tote on the back of the farm truck.
Perfect.
About 800 gallons at a time. It gets the job done.
Yep.
But it's something we've been eyeing up for a while of old fire truck or dairy milk truck or something.
You got to be careful with the fire trucks because they do use the chemical foam in some of them, even being stainless. They say it's stainless. You should be able to wash it because it's stainless, but I don't know. Can someone
exactly?
That?
No.
If it's
stainless, you can always remove a layer of stainless with some nitric acid. So it'll basically whatever's in there with a little bit of nitric and a little bit of phosphoric, it's brand new.
Okay. See, that's nice to know because I've not even been looking at some.
It's what you do with it when you're done. What are you doing with that nitric?
Can you imagine if there was a fire?
I'm not recommending that people go out and buy nitric acid and phosphoric acid and pickle their own stainless. Like we do it because we know how to responsibly remove dispose of it.
I'd like to put a fire out with sap. That'd be quite the story.
It would smell good. They're like, hey, is Nate running the evaporator? I smell burnt sugar.
It smells like burnt evaporators are put out by sap.
Did Nate burn the syrup pans again?
That sounds like something John and I would get involved in, like an Amish barn set on fire or something like that, and we just
grab the sap.
We went there with the transfer pump. We saved Levi's barn.
How we doing on analytics, Tim? We got good.
We're down to 61. I mean, we've been on an hour and 20, so
I actually have to go. So it was good hanging out for a little bit, guys.
John,
Have a good day.
good seeing you, dude.
Hey, John.
Yeah.
I mean, John, we're okay. You're gone. Yeah. So I mean, if you guys, what do you think? I'm
I'm enjoying myself. I don't have a reason to leave. It's up to you guys.
Hey, people in the chat, people still out there.
Sometimes just talking about it.
Can we get some questions?
Sure.
Try to answer? Let's get a little more.
Otherwise, I'm gonna let you guys take over for a bit here because I gotta go find myself some. I haven't eaten anything since I got home.
Yep, go ahead. Piece of property.
Let's see here. We got a piece of property in New Hampshire. I don't even know what that's about.
I'm not sure what the carbon is. That like solar panels must be.
No. So you can carbon credits are a real thing. You can trade them. I'm just shoveling this stuff. I didn't make it up. It's a real thing. Like I have a friend who's part owner in a carbon credit trading company. I don't care. Like you shouldn't care politically which way it is. Like it doesn't matter. If you can lease your acreage and get paid, thousands of dollars, like who cares?
Yeah.
Like why? Like I don't care. Sure, if you want to run your jets across America and pollute, and you want to pay me because I don't. I mean, it's silly, but so is organic. I don't care. So that's, carbon credits are a real thing, and there's companies that trade it, right? So, like say 600 acres should pay you $20,000 to $30,000. So there's companies that are selling your carbon credits. They're getting $20,000 to $30,000. What are they giving you? Like this is a legit thing. Like in my area of Ohio and Western Pennsylvania, there was the shale run of Utica Marcellus. So what would happen is the landman would come, lock everybody up at $200 an acre, and people are like, "Yay!" Then they sell it for $2,500 an acre, and then they're mad because like you celebrated for $200 an acre and told all your buddies, and then you were kind of upset once you heard they sold it for $2,500 to somebody else. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Kind of feels like the landmen were everywhere. Like I wouldn't be telling the story if I wasn't a part of it. Like I don't like to tell stories I wasn't in.
Yeah.
So, So my wife and I, like, lots of people in this area, got pretty fortunate with shale, and that's what I'm seeing. It's like the next kind of like land grab. So maple farmers, especially if you have acreage, can get paid for just existing. Like people will buy your tree breathing, like turning carbon dioxide to oxygen. It seems silly, but it's legit. Like don't judge it. Don't sit there and go, "This is stupid." Yeah, it is. So you don't want to get in on the money just because you have a belief.
Yeah. It feels like the modern set aside or CRP. What's it called?
Conservation Reserve Program.
Yeah, we had a lot of our kind of land where our cabin's at in CRP for put in CRP for 10, 20 years, and kind of get this not lucrative money, but a little bit of money for that. And it used to be good farmland, and now just like you said, Nate, just let it sit there, don't touch it, and you get paid for that. It seems kind of silly. Now it's probably even more silly because it's probably much more lucrative money than what CRP was. I think it was a few $100 a year we got for 20, 30 acres, whatever it was. This is, I'm guessing a lot more than that. But it seems like a modern day CRP.
Yeah.
So let's just say $25,000 for 600 acres. What is that an acre per year? I'm using my phone to stream, so I can't really, and who does math anymore? I don't remember any phone numbers, and I don't do math without a calculator anymore.
Yeah.
41.6
dollars an acre.
Yep.
Every year, and that's probably what it should be. So
for nothing.
You
basically.
see how people can get into carbon credit brokering, just like the landmen with oil and gas. Like, hey, I'm going to go buy yours. You're happy. I'm going to give you 30, and then go sell it all for 50. Like they're just, aggregating it, and then turning around and selling it to Delta Airlines, because Delta runs jets that just, pollute the atmosphere, and they have to buy them to offset it so they can be carbon neutral. That's what this whole thing's about. I'm carbon neutral because I buy carbon credits from Maple Farmers. Like, this is legit. Like, this is
the big thing
really
around
happening.
Solar. There's solar fields. There's 3,000 acres that just sold down the road for me, all solar. It's miles. I'm like,
Sure.
this is crazy. And they're taking now that they are kind of taking farm fields and putting that up, obviously. So that could be argued, but they're giving $3,000 an acre for that. I kind of would like to see a contract though, because what are they going to do with those in 20 years? Because they have a 20-year lifespan. Are you responsible
30.
for those?
30.
Oh, they're 30 now? Okay. The guy was telling me 20 that just signed up with it. So, yeah, it's like it makes you wonder. It's like, are you left with it? Do they come back and put it all to how it was before? Do they renew? Where are they?
Oftentimes they just lease the land and they're responsible for everything.
Yeah.
I'll admit, this is definitely the counter argument, right? It's not, I wouldn't say I'm one way or the other, but it is definitely the earliest we've ever tapped, and it's been a very mild winter. And how else do we, as be more responsible to our Earth, and what things can we all do? Whether it's carbon credits, it seems a little bit of a more of a sales gimmick than actual value, but how else do we all be more responsible?
There's a farmer over here by me that claims that all these solar panels are taking the sun rays and they're bouncing it back towards the ozone, and that's what's trending and making the jet stream and all this. And I'm like, man, I don't know about that. I mean, that would take.
Does he have a tinfoil hat?
He might. I don't know. I think it's an armadillo one, actually.
That's a good question from Jeff. I see. What's the next biggest innovation in maple, in your opinion? Yes, something that comes to my mind.
Oh my gosh, where'd you see this?
What's that name?
Yeah, steam hammer. There's no doubt. Like, I'm just gonna openly talk about it. Like, having met all the largest maple operations in the United States, they're all using Clayton Christie's MES steam pans.
Yeah.
It's he's whooping every maple equipment manufacturer, and it's not even close. The technology is so far ahead, and the pricing, like, you can buy a full evaporator, say a 4x14, or you could buy the boiler, the steam pan, and the installation, and it's just like, which one do you want to do? Like, they're quiet, they're efficient. It's not debatable. Like, CDL would love to buy MES, I'm sure. Like, it's been broached. Like, it's amazing. Like, he's just gonna kick the crap out of everybody. Good for him.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Good for him.
What do you guys think about the electric one?
I
mean, have you ever even seen one work or in person?
Yeah,
I
have.
CDL had some information on it. I had a seminar on it, but I was obviously too busy with other things at the show to go see the presentation on it. But I haven't seen it.
I think my electric bill's like $7,000 a month. Like, I hate the electric company. The last thing I want is an electric evaporator. Like, it's unbelievable.
Back to the steam evaporators. I'm wondering. So obviously, it's the largest producers out there. That's probably their go-to. But just like most things in the maple world, like, how far down does that go to smaller producers or mid-sized producers, I should say? So a guy with 50,000 taps or 100,000 taps, you're probably going steam. At what point is it 10,000 taps, 5,000 taps? Even, where's that?
Yeah, he's got a 3x8. Like, he's got a 3x8. Yeah, he has a 3x8. See if I remember what Clayton told me. This is bad. I think he said a 3x8 will do 45 gallons of syrup per hour at 20 bricks. So
yeah, okay.
It's something like for every one boiler horsepower, or I can't remember, but I just know a 3x8 will do 45 gallons of syrup an hour at 20 bricks.
So Boxler's
and most of these 6x10s are doing 200 gallons an hour.
Okay.
Well,
Boxers is
But here's the deal: they're quiet. Like
yeah.
they're quiet. They're a steam away essentially is the cost of a steam pan. Like you can buy a steam away, or just buy a steam pan. Like the whole thing. Like that's where I'm like, why buy a steam away? Like the maple equipment companies are getting Netflixed, right? Like Blockbuster Videos, like, hey, we don't want to buy you Netflix because we make too much money on late fees on people returning their cassettes. And it's like he's just going to keep smoking them. And it's almost like there's a arrogance or I don't want to admit something's better than me. I have no idea. Like partner with them. Like do something. I would love H2O to do something. Leader. They're gonna get Netflix. Hey, be kind, rewind.
Yeah. Nice.
No, Boxlers, how big is Boxlers? Because they're doing 300 gallons an hour on theirs at 25 bricks. Do you know how?
Yeah, that makes about sense. So that's probably a 6x10.
Okay.
Yeah. But, JR's got 3 of them, running. And he said, like, Clayton and JR, like, that's what's interesting about Clayton is he's working with the largest maple producers in the country. I don't care who they use, CDL, If Clayton started to sell tubing, he'd freaking outsell everybody. Hey, I'll give you a 10% off tubing if you have one of my evaporators. Like that dude could just start manufacturing tubing. They like him. He's smarter than everybody. Like
He's got real world experience.
Smarter than all of them combined.
Yeah.
And that's it. Like instead of saying, hey, Clayton, yeah, you're smarter than every maple equipment company combined. We'd like to partner with you. It's just like a pride. I don't know what you call it. Like just own it. Like dude's like the Einstein of maple equipment.
Back to that help each other outgrow thing. Some people just don't want to do it.
Yeah, like I can tell you, like they're just going to get, CDL. They did some smart things. Here's what I don't like. We're not going to have a large U.S. manufacturer. This is like the United States having their missiles and munitions made in China and Russia. Like, it's just not a good idea. Like, we don't have a U.S. manufacturer anymore. That's it. We don't. Clayton's it.
So I thought the shares were just sold to New York. You're saying H2O sold back to Canada is what? Because I thought that they were owned by US.
Oh, it's this simple. So holding companies do not give a crap. It's about owning something and then selling it when it's worth more. So they own H2O, which is Canadian, and then H2O Maple bought Leader. So they still own a Canadian company. H2O is going to move as much to Canada as they can. They're listening to the wrong people. Like, and by the way, it's the most profitable thing to do. Like, they should completely shut down Leader. This is Gordon Gekko, right? Greed is good. Like, they're going to shut down Leader US, and they're going to move it to Canada. So basically, when they said, hey, we're going to buy you, and Leader, yay, and US, and then it's all bullcrap.
Yeah, and then they sell within a year of that.
Well, no. H2O, like the Maple's this much. H2O is like, Maple's like 2% of what H2O does. They didn't buy H2O for the Maple. Hence, Nate Bissell going, hey, Ember, you're going to completely destroy this Maple side of things, and it's screwing up the entire industry. I'd like to talk to you about buying it. Like, they can't see that CDL is just going to keep kicking the crap out of them.
Yeah.
This is not good for Maple. But no one at H2O is going to go, hey, we don't know what we're doing. They're not going to say that to Ember. They're going to tell them all the things Ember wants to hear. Like, earnings are good. Everything's good. They're just going to keep telling the people at the top what they want to hear. Meanwhile, it's just getting eroded from underneath. Like, this is what bothers me. It's like the national security of the maple industry. I don't like that CDL is just going to be able to like buy the syrup based on being in first position, like the lean on the syrup. And then I got another company, an H2O leader, that would probably be number 2 in the U.S., just getting the crap beat out of them. I mean, everybody knows it for years. And I don't know how many emails I've written. It probably pisses them off more than I'm right. Like, I don't know if you know this, but when you have a position and you present it and you're right, they don't usually go, "Oh, Nate, I thought one way, but after your email of telling me how stupid I am, I think another way." They, like I should just post my email to Rock. Like, Rock isn't going to be like, "Oh, Nate's calling me out. I'm not going to send this to my boss. I'm not going to send the email Nate wrote to me to my boss because it's going to say, Rock, you're about to get Netflixed." I watched 2 CEOs that were too stupid to partner with Clayton out of pride, arrogance, whatever. I said, Rock, how do you want to be remembered? Be kind, rewind. Like, I give information in the way I'm willing to receive it. I'm never offended by the messenger. Like, David, you called me out this morning, and you should have. You called me out. Did I get all pissed off? And like, no, like, dude's right. Like, David called me out, and I was willing to say, oh, I was wrong. Like, that's leadership. It's not about being right. Yeah. It's about doing what's mostly best.
Yeah, and it's just about simple communication too. Just communicate.
Yeah, and the other thing is by the way, the videos I've been making, like, Clayton is shocked with how much referrals he's getting from them. So 2 years ago, I tried to work with Leader and a social media. Basically, if there's somebody in Leader that didn't think I deserved it, like, it didn't go to the top, right? So here's Clayton. He's going to sell so many Steam events. Good for him, man. Hey, do you know what I want in return? Nothing. Yeah. Just want to do something. Like, can I do something nice for somebody without anything in return?
Be passionate.
This dude,
enjoy it. Yeah.
He's so booked up. Like, Clayton doesn't have a sales problem. Like, he's set up. Like, he can just make it. He wants to work with people he likes. Like, at this point, if you call up and be like, Clayton, I'd like to buy a steam rig. Yeah, I just want you to know I'm putting you up against CDL and Lapierre and everybody, and I want the best price. Like, if I'm Clayton, like, I got a list of 45 people that want evaporators, and you want to, like, he's not the kind of guy you call up and say, you better be cheap. I want the cheapest price. Like, all of those people, they need to go. They're going to CDL. Like, good. They deserve each other. They want cheap. The people that want cheap deserve each other. So the people that provide cheap and the people who want cheap, they deserve each other. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm preaching a little bit. It's probably the Buffalo Trace.
So is it true that CDL bought the bottling company to get around the federation so they can sell?
Oh, I have no idea. Like, the whole thing is, like, I don't.
I thought that was interesting.
Like, really, it is. Like, I don't run my business. I really don't. I only care about how I can serve my customers better. Actually, I only care how I can serve my employees better, because now I'm in charge of the people who are in charge of the people who are in charge of the people that do the work. So if I can make sure that my leadership is taken care of, and they can make sure their leader, like, you're not a leader until you create other leaders. That's it. So if you can create, I'm finally to the point now where I've got leaders who are making leaders, and all I care about is taking care of them. I don't care what any maple syrup maple syrup company's doing, because it doesn't matter. It will not change our trajectory. We have the best maple syrup sales rep in the country. It's ridiculous how good this guy is. How can I serve him? I don't really care what CDL's new like, I'm interested because I'm only curious about their plan and thought process, but I'm not, like, it will not change what I do. I don't care what Butternut does. I don't care what Bascom does. Like, it doesn't matter. It's kind of like Apple and Microsoft. For a long time there, Microsoft was like, what's Apple doing? What's that? Oh, Apple. Okay. Right. You know what Apple cared about? How can we help people learn better? They didn't give a crap about Microsoft. Look, Jeff knows what I'm talking about because he knows that I'm basically quoting Simon Sinek, right?
Yep.
Jeff knows what I'm talking about. Like I love like Simon Sinek. Yeah, I love those videos. Like I didn't come up with this. Like,
I just thought it was curious. I didn't know if it was going to affect the amount of syrup coming into the States now because they're kind of skirting the Federation because they're in ownership of, you see what I'm saying? I thought that was
all that stuff is, you're right. Like I'm so small as a packer that the Federation, like it doesn't affect me. Like if the state of Ohio made zero syrup, it wouldn't affect anything.
Yeah,
If
correct.
the state of Ohio, Pennsylvania, and Michigan made zero syrup, it would not affect the price of syrup.
Correct.
Regionally, it would, because guys like Dave, whoever's packaging syrup in those states, regionally would probably drive the price up a little bit, but they would be foolish to pay more than market.
Yeah.
But most smaller packers don't know that, so they'll panic buy. Like they're going to have a great season in Vermont. The numbers are they're at 50% of a crop, and they have great weather coming. I think I heard today at Jackman they're at a pound per tap, and they're just getting going in Maine. Like honestly, once Vermont's done, Maine's just getting rolling.
Yeah.
So we have no idea how the season or crop's going to, land. But if Vermont has a good year, and Maine has a good year, it doesn't really matter. It really, how does Quebec do really affects the bulk price.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And by the way, my opinions are probably 60% right. I don't know. Nate was wrong. Yep, probably.
Yep.
So don't listen to the logic, because I'll be wrong on some little detail. Like that's the other thing that people do is that person was wrong about this. And so you throw out everything else like that. People do that all the time.
Yeah. Has any more questions popped up, Tim? This one's been up for a while.
Yeah. Well, my question is how long do you guys want to keep going? We're down.
I'm enjoying myself. I'm enjoying listening to myself talk. I'm bloviating, and it's great.
It's had a long day.
Yeah.
So it's been a long day. I think we all have, haven't we?
I'm kind of ready to wrap it up. To be honest with you,
That's
because we're at 42. We're at less than half of what we had at the peak.
Cool. Sounds good, guys. It was fun.
Yep.
Yeah.
Next Sunday.
Thanks,
Good
everybody.
talking with you, Jeff.
For the invite. Appreciate it, guys.
Yep.
Yeah, good having you guys
Well,
on. We'll do it again, and hopefully everything turns out well for everybody. So, guys, have a great weekend. My weekend's over. Remember, always keep it real.
Thanks, Tim.
Have a good night, guys.
You're welcome.
See you, Jeff.